This video is sponsored by Squarespace. I was born in 1997, meaning I had the privilege of growing up in the golden age of a small cartoon known as Spongebob Squarepants. I love cartoons and I always have, and when talking about my favorite cartoons, SpongeBob is pretty much a given. I say this not only because of how much I just genuinely enjoyed the show and how many witty jokes it came with, but because of how secretly influential the series was. SpongeBob was first aired in 1999 in an atmosphere where cartoons were at a truly unique and wild level. You had shows like Hey Arnold, Pinky and the Brain, Rugrats, Cat Dog. I mean, these ideas were exciting and like nothing I had ever seen before. So why is it that out of this bunch, the story about a talking sponge lasted the longest and remains the most iconic? The reason is just that. The synopsis for SpongeBob is vague. In fact, it's barely a synopsis at all, as the IMDb summary reads as more of a short autobiography than a TV show synopsis. My point is, SpongeBob was a cartoon that focused loosely on a backstory and purpose behind their main character, and more towards the story. SpongeBob was a cartoon that cared about the story. Don't get me wrong, these other 90s cartoons are fantastic, it's hard not to love them, but I can reference any SpongeBob episode faster than I could ever reference anything from these other shows. While one could argue that the subliminal messaging within the show is what taught children about the world, I feel while that may be true, there's a much simpler reason for why the world around us for so many children was shaped by SpongeBob. SpongeBob wasn't necessarily goofier or more original than these other shows, it just operated on a different level of telling stories, something that is rare to see in an industry like children cartoons that operates on an overly repetitive formula for episodes. It's this way that these episodes were written that ties into why I believe SpongeBob was so influential to not only myself, but others as well. So I've talked a little bit about why exactly SpongeBob was different and more iconic compared to others 90s cartoons, but what exactly about this unique writing style gives it such a captivating atmosphere? For this I want to look at SpongeBob himself. Who is he? What is his backstory? What are his weaknesses, strengths, etc.? Well, if you were to try and put together such a character description, you'd ultimately come up with answers that are either somewhat basic and flat or assumed by yourself. What I'm saying is that the show does not depict SpongeBob as anything more than what you see on the screen. Everything he does with little to no thought. This includes everything including his name, which basically describes what he is in physical appearance. Nothing adds any unique traits. This isn't to say he's necessarily dumb or bland, he just has little to no doubt. Now it's that aspect of the character writing that I feel is the number one reason SpongeBob is so influential. Doubt. Never in the show do we see any signs of doubt or hesitation in any of the deliveries coming from SpongeBob. An existential crisis is a foreign idea in this show, but only for SpongeBob himself. I say that because the other characters and their occasional doubt, now that's what I feel makes the show what it is. Patrick isn't always okay with his stupidity, Squidward deals with and acknowledges his own bitterness, Mr. Krabs is faced to deal with and contemplate certain situations given his greedy manner, I mean the list goes on. In all of this chaos stands SpongeBob, the middleman, someone who stays true to his own intention with zero thought. Think of any episode of SpongeBob. Let's take Pretty Patties, one of the more iconic and most beloved episodes to come out of the show. A character trait for Sponge is that he is dedicated to the Krusty Krab and his job. This idea to start his own business is a clear issue when taking into consideration how he also loves his job at the Krusty Krab. But this issue is never addressed by SpongeBob for a second. He just opens the shop out of the blue. This choice to skip contemplation entirely does three things. It opens up more time to tell the story, it adds a sense of humor to the whole situation, and most importantly, it subtly sets an example on acting without hesitation. Now those first two examples are beneficial for the sake of the story, but the third is what adds the meat to the episode. It adds a sense of meaning and benefit from the actions of our main character. So how exactly is this influential, and how exactly did this connect to children? Well, let's think about it. When you were a kid, how often did you think about your place in society? In other words, how well did you know yourself? The answer for that, at least for myself, is not at all really. As a child, I was just doing things. I was hanging out with friends, playing with Legos, and when I messed up, I would just acknowledge it and move on, not really thinking about it twice. To see a cartoon with a main character like SpongeBob who doesn't think twice about his actions is something a child can relate to more than, let's say, a boy genius like Jimmy Neutron. SpongeBob was never any specific thing because he never acknowledged himself as any specific thing. He's just a sponge in square pants. He can have the traits of Patrick, Squidward, Mr. Krabs, Sandy, anybody in the show, and still remain himself because he basically acts as a symbol for childhood. It's his way of never expressing doubt and allowing himself to live more and think less that allows anyone to think of SpongeBob as someone they can relate to. Steven Hillenburg doesn't concentrate on story arc or the development of the characters or the complexity of a certain joke. He just throws SpongeBob and his friends into a situation and lets the story take control. It's easy to brush off SpongeBob as just being entertaining and funny for all ages. But I feel there is a message behind it all that is perfectly encapsulated in the Imaginary Box episode. That message being, Genuine happiness can't be forced. The best and most memorable times are made when you can let yourself go, make use of your surroundings, and use your imagination. As always, don't forget to subscribe, go watch some SpongeBob, and thanks for watching. Hey, what's up guys? Thank you so much for watching. This video took like 2 months or so to write, so it feels really good to finally have it out there, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Before you head out though, I want to give a quick thank you to this week's sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace, if you don't already know, is a platform where you can make your own website, whether it be for a portfolio, an online shop, a blog, you name it. They have a wide array of designer templates that look super sleek and professional and will really make your website pop. Best part about it all is the 24-hour customer service. I can tell you that is very helpful and necessary when making your own website. And if you use the offer code in the description, you'll get 10% off your first purchase. So there's really no reason for you not to check this out. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I got a video on my favorite films of 2017 coming next week, so be on the lookout for that. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.